Hello people, welcome back to the channel, and if you didn't know, here's me face. Right, in today's video I'm going to be going through 10 insane fight night main events that I would make right now. Let's waste no more time and get straight into it. I have two fights at heavyweight, and the first one is Sergey Pavlovich against Alexander Volkov. Now, I think after what happened against Aspinall, I think he'll need about 6 months off-ish, and I think Volkov, as much as he's got losses, he's a very good flagship for the division. It's kind of if you beat Volkov, you know where you are. And I think it's a good bounce back for him. I called Volkov a journeyman in a recent heavyweight tier list video, and that's a little bit unfair. He's a lot better than that. Yes, they used to train together, these two lads, but they have both said they'll fight each other. I think it's hard, of course, when you have the power of Sergey, it's hard to see anyone getting out the first round, but I honestly think Volkov could. He won't get much further though. I'm going to go with a second round knockout for Pavlovich if this fight happens. On to heavyweight fight number 2, and I think the best thing you can do is just rebook Blades against Almeida. Now, Almeida wasn't great against Derek Lewis, let's be honest. It wasn't a good fight. I was bored shitless, I'm not going to lie. And Blades is obviously awful loss against Sergey. Honestly, flatlined. That's always been an issue for Blades. Those big heavy hitters just always seem to find his chin. I think Almeida's a good fighter. He's too small. Too small for heavyweight. I think Blades, over the distance, I think he'll grind him out, I'm not going to lie. But it's hard, these heavyweight fights, anything can happen. And Almeida is very good, especially on the ground. But he's also got a decent little bit of pop in his hands. But no, I see probably do it in the Apex as well. I mean, they're not huge names. And I mean, honestly, I think that Gelton's, his stock's actually gone down after his Lewis fight. So I would say Apex, about April, May. Next up, I think you do Yuri Prochazka against Krylov. Now, the first thing about this fight is it's very good for like a Central Europe, like, main event. Yes, we've been to France and England a lot, but we've not really gone to like the Germanys and the Polands. It'd be perfect for this card. And I know he just got chinned, but literally watching his Instagram stories, he looks ready to fight next weekend. He looks revved up. He had a lot of time off, of course. I think you keep him relatively active. Yes, of course, he got knocked out, so you give him a bit of time off, but not too much. On Krylov recently, really impressed with him. I thought he was great against Ryan Spann. Over the last 18 months, I think he's been the best in the division. He's very well rounded. He can knock you out and he can sub you. And I'd probably beat him. I would probably pick him to beat Yuri as well. I would. Probably by submission though. I don't think he'd knock him out. But no, I think you do Yuri against Krylov in Central Europe in about April or May. Next up, we're staying at 205 with the loser of Jan and Rakic against the winner of Roundtree and Azamat. Now, I have to do two separate predictions here, and then I have to do another one. So this is going to be good. I'm going to get them all wrong probably, but here we go. I think that Jan will beat Rakic. I think the time off is bad for him. And the other one is a close one. I do really rate Azamat. He's a dangerous dude. He's a scary dude as well. But I think Roundtree's Muay Thai is probably maybe top 5 in the whole UFC right now. It is lethal. I mean, I thought he lost against Jacoby, but I mean, he got the nod and he knocked out Dorcas, but I could probably knock out Dorcas at this point, to be fair. But in terms of the Rakic against Roundtree fight, that would actually be my shout here. I do think the range of Rakic and the fact that he can mix in offensive grappling, I do think he'd beat Roundtree over 5 rounds. But he could easily get chinned because Roundtree, like me, used to be a fat cunt, and us fat cunts do hit hard. So anything can happen in a fight like that. But I would probably pick Rakic over Roundtree. And number 5, I don't think this fight is that fair on Jared Cannonier. But if you look at the division, what else has he got? I mean, you've got the title fight that's already confirmed. Adesanya's taking time out. I don't think he's fighting Whitaker again. I think he'll fight Hamzat. So, kind of just leaves Paulo Costa, man. I mean, it's a fight that we'd all like to see. It is an exciting scrap on paper. And you could probably have it in front of a crowd. You could even maybe do it in Brazil if you maybe want to do a fight night there in the first half of next year. I don't know if they will, but if they did, this could headline. But I can never ever trust old Paulo to, 1, make a fight card, and 2, more importantly, bloody make weight. I would say, up you go to 205, my son, but he's not doing that yet. And I think he'd lose to Cannonier as well, because I think, a little bit like Sean Strickland, when you have Costa, he's very good going forward, but if you meet him in the middle, he's not great off his back foot. And I think, even though I thought that Strickland won his fight with Jared, I thought Jared was good at making Strickland move backwards more than he normally does. So in this fight, I think he'd do the same and beat Costa. Oh, Paul Craig, you haggis eating bastard. Why'd you have to lose, son? I mean, yes, well done, Brendan Allen. Enjoy a fight night main event against Marvin Vettori in the Apex. I mean, if he would have won, it would have been a great opportunity like a Glasgow or an Edinburgh or even a Rome. But I mean, just, I don't really care about Allen versus Vettori. I mean, it's just an Apex fight night, really, isn't it? But I will say this about Brendan Allen, and it hurts, it does, but I'm going to... He was really, really good. He was very good. Now, I don't hate Brendan Allen, I just love Paul Craig. So, I was upset on Saturday night, but I have to give a lot of credit where it's due. I thought, on the ground in particular, where I thought he'd be a bit cautious around Craig, he just went straight for the kill and got it. So, nothing at all but well done to him. In terms of him fighting Vettori, I don't know, it's an interesting fight. I mean, I think that Allen will be ranked number 8, maybe 9 tomorrow. When the rankings come out. I would probably go with Vettori. I just think he'd last more over the 5 rounds. And I think he's very difficult to finish. His head is made out of bloody rock, basically. Dwayne Johnson vibes. But, I don't know. I've been impressed with Brendan recently as well. I mean, he was good against Andre Muniz. And, of course, against Craigie Boy, which I'm upset about, I'm not going to lie. So, I think he should fight Marvin. It's quite a 50-50, but I would probably go with Marvin over 5 rounds, I think. Right, Hands of Steel against Jack Della Maddalena now. I could definitely see this on the main card of a pay-per-view in Australia, and I wouldn't have a problem with that. But if you look at UFC 284, the pop he got in Perth was insane. He's a local boy to there, of course. And I think he's number 11 in the world now, I think. And I think Neil's 7 or 8. And I have to say about Jeff Neal real quick, he was a lot better against Shavkat than I thought he was going to be. He lost, of course, but he was competitive for most of the fight until he wasn't. So, it's a tough one. I mean, I think Neil is 100% the hardest fight of Jack's career so far, but the one thing for me that really sticks out in my head is the body shots of Jack. I'm not sure if Neil is the best at defending body shots. Luke hit him with quite a few, and there was a bit of damage on those. So, it's a close fight. I mean, I believe that Jack would go in as the favourite, and he probably should. And I think he would probably get a TKO with body shots in about the 2nd or the 3rd. Probably. Maybe a decision, but I would pick Jack to win, probably by finish. It's a bit of a long shot. I think Ian Gary, if he beats Luke A, I think he should fight the loser of Shavkat against Wonderboy. Now, of course, the elephant in the room is that Ian and Shavkat have trained, and I think do still train at the same gym. In, what's it called again? Killcliff, innit? Sorry, that went straight out of my head. But he's fighting Luke Hay, who also is at Killcliff, so that doesn't look like it bothers him too much. Which, look, I don't like Ian Gary. I think he's a bit of a knobhead, but the fact he's fighting his teammates is good. It's great for the division. And the problem at 170 is they all train at Killcliff for some reason. I don't know why, but, well, actually, it comes from the Black Zillions, and you got Henry Hoofton. I'll leave that one there, right? But you know what I mean, if you know what I mean. So, yeah, and I think the loser of Wonderboy and Shavkat should fight Gary in Ireland in a fight night main event if he beats Luke A. I mean, if he does beat Luke A, he'll go up to probably number 9, I think. He's 13 now, I think, at the moment, 12. And I think Wonderboy and Shavkat are 6 and 7. So it would make sense that way. And I think Wonderboy is not too keen on the idea of fighting Ian Gary. I think if Shavkat was to lose, he'd fight anybody. So I think that one is easier to make. However, I do think Shavkat will smash Wonderboy. And honestly, if you offer him enough money, I think Wonderboy would take that fight. And I think he'd beat Ian Gary as well, by the way. Over 5 rounds, he'd piece him up. Unfortunately, Ian Gary's dream fight wouldn't go very well for him. Is there a bigger absolute nutcase Chad in the UFC than BSD right now? I don't think there is, and I think he should be the one that should be headlining in Paris from now on. How about this, Garn? How about you actually fight people that don't hold the belt after you just beat Sergey Spivak, you mug? Anyway, calm down. It's not about Garn, it's about BSD. Okay, I think you should fight the loser of Arman against Benil Dariush in, I believe it's in Austin, on the 2nd of December. I think that's correct. If it's not, let me know. I think he'd honestly beat either of them by TKO because I think he hits harder, definitely, than Arman. I think Dariush has got quite a bit of pop in his hands. I mean, he got that, the back fist against Scott Holtzman, I believe. That was a crazy knockout. And of course, the close fight in, I think, 2018, 2019. Crazy. But I think he'd beat both of them, actually. I'm not going to lie. I do think that it will be a closer fight with Sarukian just because of how technically sound he is on the ground. But even on the ground, I think that the BSD can finish people. He's got a decent sub game. I mean, he is a fucking jiu-jitsu guy at heart, but he's just a fucking legend, isn't he? I mean, look at his face. He's ex-fucking military. He's hard as nails. I think he'll beat whoever loses the Texas main event in a couple of weeks' time. And then from there, I say you hand him Dustin Poirier and get him out of the fucking top 5. Always fighting the same people. Prick. Anyway, yeah. And number 10. The main fucking tagline on this one is we need justice for Corey Sandhagen. There's no way that he should be fighting down the rankings right now. Either title shot or you give him fucking, I don't know, the little goblin morale. Whatever you want to do with him, but he's not fighting downwards. I think you put Jan against Umar. Now, it hurts. I do like Jan a lot. I think he's still probably in the top 3 in terms of actual level of technique in the division. I mean, I thought he beat O'Malley. I thought he also won the second fight with Aljo. But they're both close fights and they're not robberies. A little bit. We've seen that a lot recently with the whole, oh, it's a robbery. No, it's not. It's just a close fight. So shut up. Anyway, I think Umar would beat him, which is really sad. I could honestly see Jan losing against Umar and then probably going to like one championship or something. I think he mentioned leaving the UFC for one in the past, and I don't think he actually likes the way the UFC do things very much. And I think if he was to slip down the rankings and end up with less money, he could very well leave and join one, do a DJ basically. Oh, that'd be a good fight in one, by the way, at 135. Oh, fuck me. Anyway, not important right now. I think Umar's too good. I do think he'll hold the belt, but I think if he can beat a Jan, then you give him like the loser of O'Malley versus Vera, and then you give him a title shot maybe early to mid 2025. That would be my kind of route for Umar, but I do think he'd beat Jan, unfortunately. Anyway, that's it for the video. I hope you enjoyed this new kind of style with the face cam and me face. I'm going to have a shave, don't worry, so don't fucking mug me off about that. But anyway, I will catch you very soon. Take care.